How's it going, guys? Welcome to the Trades and Grades YouTube channel. I am Noah Wright, and today we are going to be going over why you need to be buying Drake London right now. Let's get it. First things first, guys, if you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, if you love Dynasty Fantasy Football, go ahead and subscribe. I think that's all we got. All right, Drake London. So let's go over the first thing, in my opinion, we're going to go over here is his prospect, right? So who was he coming out of college? And he was an extremely dominant player. Only got to play 8 games in his junior season because of an ankle injury, but he was selected as a top 10 pick as a wide receiver in last year's draft, 2022 draft. So he's a rookie this year, first round, 8th pick, right? Great pedigree to start off there. If we go back and look and see at what are the odds of a wide receiver becoming a wide receiver 1 at any point in time in their career, if you're just a wide receiver in general, right? Since 2003, you have about a 12% chance of becoming a wide receiver 1. So not great, right? If you are a wide receiver and you get selected in the first round, your odds of becoming a wide receiver 1 at any point in your career, just one season, 37%. So it goes up drastically. Now, if you are a wide receiver who gets selected in the first round, who is also 21 years old or younger, so an early declare in most cases. Now, the database I use, they just use age. They don't have early declare, non-early declare, only age. If you're 21 years old, first round, in your wide receiver, 67% chance of being a wide receiver 1 at some point in your career. Guess who hits that mark? Drake London, right? So off the bat, as a prospect, extremely promising, early declare, had the production, has a draft capital, goes to a team where he doesn't have a quarterback, but he still balls out. 72 receptions, 866 yards, 4 touchdowns. Yards per route, 1.9, 29.2% target share. Now, let me tell you why I care about those things, okay? So if we look at the yards per route, and again, we're looking at how often are wide receivers going to be getting wide receiver 1 numbers, right? Or wide receiver 2 numbers. We're just looking at statistics, trying to figure out who we want to buy. Wide receivers who have first round draft capital, okay? So let's go back to this. 37% chance, right? We have a 37% chance of becoming wide receiver 1 with first round draft capital. And if you hit this mark, right, where Drake London is, 1.9 yards per route, you now have a 67% chance of getting in, which is, the same as what if you just were 21 years old. So just from a standpoint alone, even if he was 25 years old, right, didn't matter. He still hit that mark. He still got to 1.9 yards per route. That isn't like a mark that we want, We're not saying, hey, this is what he needs to hit. This is just what he did. I look at who are the people who hit this or better, and what are their odds of becoming a wide receiver 1, and those are the odds. So if you guys ever want to go through stats or anything like this, go look up at FF Spaceman on Twitter. Does a fantastic job. He has a great database for stuff like this. So from a production standpoint, fantastic year as a rookie, even with an abysmal, just terrible offense with the Falcons from a passing standpoint. They were second to last, right? So if we look at last year's or this past year's passing stats, we go ahead and take a look here at the bottom of the league. Chicago Bears, right? My Bears, not great, right? They had no offensive line. They had no wide receivers. They basically just told Fields, run for your life, throw the ball around every once in a while, and run for about 100 and some yards a game. So Bears are terrible. Second worst, Atlanta Falcons. They refuse. Arthur Smith refused to throw the ball. Mariota was no good. Ritter comes in. He looked worse, if that was possible. So they don't have anybody there. In my opinion, they need to go after a quarterback. Either they need to trade up in this draft, which they didn't exactly put themselves in great position to draft a quarterback. I think will be startable. I don't think they'll get any of the top, 2 guys unless they, obviously trade up. And I don't know about Levis and Anthony Richardson. I'm just not sure about either. That'd be kind of a project. So, in terms of Drake London's future quarterback situation, they're going to need to trade up or they're going to have to get somebody in the offseason. Now, this isn't part of this video, but Lamar Jackson, just hear me out here. Lamar Jackson would be a fantastic landing spot if the Falcons get it done. They have a lot of cap space in 2024. I think like over 100 million easily in cap space. It's going to be exponential. If they can land him, oh boy, you better hope you buy Drake London right now. And Kyle Pitts for that matter, because they're in the up and up. That would be fantastic. But nonetheless, the Falcons this year were just terrible at throwing the ball. So Drake London was really just capped. I mean, there's nothing he could do there. But if you go back here, the 29.2% target share as a rookie. How many people do you think have ever hit that? We're going to go back and look here. The only rookie since 2003 to get 29.2% target share. There's only one other person. That's Anquan Bolden. And if you guys haven't been playing fantasy for a super long time, and I haven't even been playing fantasy for as long as this has been like applicable, because Anquan Bolden was drafted 20 years ago. Bolden had 9 top 24 wide receiver finishes. So he's a wide receiver 2 9 times. 3 of those times he was a wide receiver 1. In 2 of them, he was even a top 5 wide receiver, right? So if we're looking at a guy, Drake London, who hit that mark, right? Only other person to even do better than him at target share was a guy who was a fantastic wide receiver for fantasy. If Drake London can have a year in which he has, or it's a career in which he can have 2 top 5 wide receiver finishes, 3 wide receiver 1s, 9 wide receiver 2s. I mean, that's perfectly fine with me. I'll take that. If we can buy that right now at the prices he's at. Speaking of which, let's talk about the prices that he's at right now. If you look on Keep Trade Cut, he's currently trading at about wide receiver 12, which I think is very fair, to be honest with you. I was sitting down looking to make a video about some wide receivers to buy. And I wanted to talk about Drake London. About wide receiver 12, I feel like that's pretty fair. You can't, he had great production, but it wasn't to the point where you could boost him up into the top, 5 guys probably. When you have guys like Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, AJ Brown, CeeDee Lamb, right? That's the top 5. You're not breaking that. Now you have Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins. You have the older guys, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs. And of course, I'm going to miss something people are going to put in the comments. But off the top of my head, it's tough to break into that mold. Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? And soon to be Jackson Smith-Njigba. But it's tough to break up in there. All that being said, he's at a fair price, but an overpay today is an underpay tomorrow. I love that saying. I said in the last video, I will say it all the time. Dynasty Nerds, Rich Dotson says it all the time. It's true, especially in Drake London's scenario here. So we're going to go look at some trades of how you acquire Drake London. And these have all happened since the new year. So this is in the last couple weeks. Okay. This is after the fantasy season, last couple weeks. This one is a very interesting trade, right? Your running back situation should be the most fluid part of your team. You have a couple of years with these guys, and then you're shipping them out. Jonathan Taylor sitting at running back 2 in Dynasty, according to Keep Trade Cut. And you have Javonte Williams, the guy who's coming off an injury. But then you get the Drake London. You get a top 10, 12 Dynasty wide receiver. I still believe in Javonte Williams. I'm taking the London side here. Now, a lot of trades really depend on your team, right? There's no such thing as, you look at a trade and you're like, well, there's, sometimes it's lopsided and you can be like, okay, this is the winning trade. However, a lot of times it depends on what your roster is, right? So this right here, I'm taking the London side. We go to this one. This is a fantastic trade. If you can pull this off, if you have a Joe Mixon, right? You have an older guy who's continual, he's wide receiver, running back 1, but you can trade him for a young wide receiver like this in Drake London. I'm doing that 10 times out of 10. It's not even a question. This is a great trade for whoever pulled this off. You're getting rid of a running back before he starts to fall. You're looking at guys. Let's take it for example, Alvin Kamara, right? Or Dalvin Cook. These guys are almost impossible to sell at this point. It's very difficult. I've had a league where I had Kamara, and it was so difficult. I finally sold him to a contender for it's a 10-team league, the 201. So really the 11th pick in the draft. One QB, I was very happy with that. You just once you get to a certain point, these guys are going to fall off. And you want the thing about it is you want to sell 1 year early versus 1 year late, right? Because you're going to get that you've gotten the production, you get rid of them before they fall off the cliff. This is a great trade. Just talking about Alvin Kamara, a fantastic trade, probably better than the last one because Mixon still has more years than Kamara. Kamara is starting to fall down a little bit. I don't know what his future holds. He's got the impending maybe suspension for next year. This year, I felt good. I knew that he was probably not going to get suspended based off of stuff that I follow. There's people on Twitter, which, Twitter is Twitter, but there are good people that if you find the right people who know what they're talking about, you can make decisions based off the stuff you read. This is a great trade. Taking London 10 times out of 10 there. This is the last trade I have for you guys. Man, this is difficult for me. All right. If you watch this channel, you know I love DeAndre Swift. Biggest fan, DeAndre Swift. I love him a lot. I think he's a good buy right now. Maybe I'll make a video about that later. I think he's a great buy, but you're going to get a guy which is going to be a wide receiver one at some point based off of probabilities, most likely, right? So you want to be fluid. DeAndre Swift's going to his 4th year already. And I'm cool with picking Drake London here. It hurts. I don't know if I could pull this trigger to do that. But it definitely is something that you should be doing, right? That's something you want to be looking for. So that is my argument for why you should be buying Drake London right now. If please put the comments, right? Put in the comments what you guys think of some of these trades, right? Are you pulling off the DeAndre Swift? If you have DeAndre Swift, are you trading it for Drake London? Is that an obvious thing? Please let me know. I'd really appreciate it. That's all I got for you guys. Go ahead and watch this video. It is the wide receiver rankings I was talking about. It's got Jackson Smith-Njigba's in it. You guys need to watch it. I'll see you in the next one.